As you can see, I'm here in my kitchen, so I think you know what that means. It is Food Label Friday, where we go beyond the marketing on the front of the package and look at the real nutrition facts on the back. Let me pull out my reading glasses so I can read this label and see what we have today. Okay, don't judge me, y'all. I'm at that age. All right, let's take a look at these nutrition facts. Today we have daring chicken. Sounds daring. Ooh, what a packaging, what a brand, what a label. We're going to take a look at this to see, is this a good, lean, healthy source of protein, especially if you're a woman over 40 like me and you are trying to stay lean year round? Is daring chicken a good idea or not? So I'm looking at the original version. Let's take a look at the back of the package. Where'd those glasses go? Oh man, it's still too close. Website, and as you can see, they describe their product as plant chicken, which I don't know how I feel about it. Well, they're calling it a chicken alternative. So I think I like that better than the ones that say chicken with like the C missing, or they put an apostrophe. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, or the E disappears. It's so weird. So I like that they're just saying, listen, this is an alternative to chicken, even though we all know it's not chicken. But yeah, so whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's a soy-based product, so they're trying to make it appealing so that you know what to substitute it for. So I don't have a huge problem. They're calling it 100% plant chicken, which, okay, it's a thing. So let's take a look at what the actual, how they're marketing this first, right? So we already see that they're saying it's an alternative to chicken. This is in the frozen food section. So they have different flavors. They have this original, Cajun, and then lemon and herb. I'll be honest with you guys, I've looked at all these. I would go with the original just because these other ones tend to have some other things added to them. And I prefer also to put in my own seasoning. So for the purposes of this video, we are just going to be looking at the original dairy. So, it says original plant chicken pieces. Okay. That's, well, there's a picture, so at least we know what it looks like. And they have like a little chicken on the front. That's cool. That's cool. They're basically saying, hey, we're saving this chicken. Eat me instead. So it says there's 90 calories, 14 grams of protein. It's non-GMO, gluten-free, and made from plants. It's made from soybeans. I don't know if I consider a soybean a plant, but I know what they're saying. So that's pretty much the only claims. There's nothing really outrageous here. It's kind of like a very simple product. So let's kind of go down and see what is in this stuff. What are the ingredients? It says there's nothing like the original, and our original plant chicken pieces are no exception. They're the game changer that put us on the map. The plant chicken that sizzles, shreds, and serves just like, well, chicken. Okay, cool. So the ingredients, before we look at the nutrition facts, let's focus on the ingredients. Let's see. Let me make myself smaller. Boop, swoop, boop. Okay. So first ingredient again is water. Soy protein concentrate. Talk about what that is in a moment. Vegetable oil, which can either be sunflower and or canola oil. Salt, natural flavor, spices, so that's paprika, pepper, ginger, nutmeg, mace, and cardamom. So not a lot of ingredients, but let's talk about what is in here. So the first thing that may have flagged your attention is the soy protein concentrate. So what is soy protein concentrate? That sounds like something concocted in a lab somewhere. So soybean, as we know, is the whole food, and soy goes through several processes. There is a process that turns soy into tofu. There is a food process that turns turns soy into soy milk. So processing a food is not an evil, insidious thing that turns it into a poison. Although obviously highly processed foods, can be less than ideal for our nutrition and our health. But in this case, I'm bringing this up just so that you understand there's different levels to processing of food, and that essentially most things that we eat have some level of processing. So we don't have to be super orthodox about having zero processing in our food, because otherwise we would be foraging all day for berries and raw produce, and we wouldn't be able to work or do anything else. So we do live in a modern world. A lot of the things that are done to so-called processed food are to preserve them so that they don't go bad immediately, like avocado. Let's face it, avocado goes bad in 14 seconds. Anyway, so soy protein concentrate is a I'd consider it more of like a minimally processed version of soy. So what they do is they take the soybean and they remove the fat from it. Like, so when we get to the nutrition facts, we'll see like regular like whole food soybeans do come with a certain amount of fat. So they're removing basically what's not protein. So they're removing the fat, and anything that's water soluble, that's not protein. Okay. So they're leaving behind some carbohydrates and some fiber, but they're really, taking out as much of the non-protein as possible. But again, they're not taking out everything. So in terms of processing of foods, this is sort of in the middle. There is a step further, which is soy protein isolate, in which they completely remove all fats and all carbohydrates. So you're left with basically 90% protein, which is almost all protein. So that's the isolate form. This is the concentrate. So there, even though it's concentrated protein, it does not have, it hasn't been processed to the extent where it's removed all of the fiber, all of the carbohydrates, and all of the fat. So most of the fats removed first, and then some of the other things. So that's the idea. So is it a processed food? Yes. Is it a highly processed, ultra palatable food? No. So again, I wouldn't put this like at the top of the list in terms of food quality, but if you're looking for a source of protein, you might want to consider it. There's a whole other conversation about soy, which I don't have time to go into today. But let's move on. So vegetable oil can be sunflower and or canola. So again, that just kind of depends on the manufacturing process. You can be the judge of this, again, to how you feel about oil. We'll look at it when we get to the fat content to see is it concerning or not. That's how I will be the judge of it. Salt, okay, again, more of a preservative and a flavoring. Now, natural flavor, this is curious. Oh boy, natural flavor. What does that mean? I really don't like to see this, but I do understand that it doesn't mean, again, like this is an evil food. So, natural flavor, and I'm actually going to pull up the USDA website and show you so you know I'm not making this up. Natural flavor is basically something that's added to the food for flavor that's not considered a spice. It doesn't have much nutritional value, it doesn't really add a lot of calories. And I personally think that some food brands do this so that they can disguise their secret sauce. So they don't want you to know everything that's in it so that you'll buy it. Because if you knew every single thing, you might just make it yourself. Who wants that? You won't buy their food then. So let's look at the boring Code of Federal Regulations from the USDA Food and Drug Administration. This looks like it was made on a dot matrix printer. If you are under 40, you don't know what that is. But let's take a look at Title 21, Food and Drug Administration, Chapter 1, Subchapter B. Oh, well, this is the food labeling section. Let's just skip to the part that we care about because this could go on forever. So this looks like it was actually made with a typewriter. Do you even know what a typewriter is? Have we seen typewriters? All right, let me move myself. Woobity, 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 woobity. So it talks about artificial flavors and spices, but here, number 3, in a text that they clearly don't want you to be able to read. You need reading classes just to see this font on here. The term natural flavor or natural flavoring means the essential oil, is a word I cannot pronounce, oleoresin, essence or extractive, protein hydrolysate, distillates, or any product of roasting, heating, or enzymolysis, which contains the flavoring constituents derived from a spice, fruit, or fruit juice, vegetable or vegetable juice, edible yeast, herb, bark, bud, root, leaf, or similar plant material. Could also be meat, seafood, poultry, eggs, dairy products, or fermentation products thereof, whose significant function in food is flavoring rather than nutritional. Natural flavors include the natural essence or extracts obtained from plants listed in some other parts of this chapter. And so they kind of detail out in other sections. But essentially, like I said, natural flavoring has to come from derived from natural things, not from an artificial thing. So up here at the top, they have artificial flavor, which they have a different definition for. So there you go. Basically, we don't know exactly, and they're not going to tell us. It's part of the secret sauce. But at least it's natural flavor, because if it was artificial flavor, they would have to say artificial flavor. Okay? So everything else in here is a spice. These things all look recognizable. So I would say from a food ingredients, I would give this like maybe a B, because the one thing about the soy protein concentrate generally, I know it says it's non-GMO, but non-GMO just means it's not derived from genetically modified organisms, right? Which we want to see that. However, the gold standard is USDA organic, which doesn't just mean non-GMO. It also means it doesn't have pesticides. Well, I won't say none. There are certain pesticides allowed, but not the harmful pesticides are not allowed under USDA organic standards. And it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the gold standard. And when a company goes through the rigorous process to get certified as USDA organic, I just tend to have more faith in the brands overall. But again, non-GMO is something, but it's not. I see that and I kind of go, if it's non-GMO, then why didn't you go for the USDA organic? So soy especially is one that I do like to see USDA organic. So for this one, because it's a protein concentrate, because it's got some oil, had some processing, I can't put this in like the A tier category in terms of the ingredients. But let's look at the macros, the macronutrients, the fats, the proteins, the carbohydrates, all the good stuff. Let's scroll down. All right, we're over here now. Boop, 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 on this side. Nutrition facts. So 3 servings per container. Okay, so that 14 grams of protein, you can multiply by 3. So you have to look at, they actually, instead of on the front saying, this is the total protein for the whole package, they actually put the protein per serving, which I think is a much more honest way to display that, because that's what they're expecting people to eat. So if we have 2 servings of this, that's 28 grams of protein for 180 calories. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. So let's look at the breakdown. So we already know it has 14 grams of protein, 2 grams of fat. So again, it already says that there's oil in there, so we know where that's coming from. Some of that could be left over from the soybean as well, but probably mostly from the vegetable oil. But 2 grams is not a lot. Now, if this said 10 grams or 12 grams of fat, I would be concerned because it means it's doused in oil, but it really is minimal overall. 400 milligrams of sodium. I talked about sodium before. If you have 2 servings, it's going to be 800 milligrams of sodium. Again, not the end of the world, but if you are watching your sodium intake for the day, this will be a significant contributor to that. So you make sure that the other foods that you have are not going to also be high in sodium if you need to stay below, the 2,000 or 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. But again, check with your doctor on that. This is interesting. So it says it has 5 grams of carbohydrates, but all of it is fiber, 0 grams of sugar, which also looks like in the ingredients there is no sugar. So it's all fiber, which is good, right? That 5 grams of fiber. So it's really not adding to your. So if you were to go by net carbohydrates, which I usually don't use, if you go by that standard, this would come out to like 0 net carbs just because of the fiber. But it is good to see that the fiber is there and that there is no sugar. And then there's 14 grams of protein. So protein, again, is the overwhelming ingredient here. It also has a little bit of calcium. So overall for this, I would say it is a really lean source of protein. It basically only has fiber and 2 grams of fat. It's not a lot of fat. It's 14 grams of protein, which for the serving of 90 calories, again, if you double that, you get to 28 grams, 180 calories. That is really good. So I would consider this a good source of protein. Again, the original version, the other versions are going to have probably more sodium, more carbohydrate, more fat, because they're adding spices and seasonings and other things to it to make the flavor there. So I prefer to get the original, and I will use my own seasoning. I like to use like a sugar-free barbecue sauce when I prepare it, but I do not put this as like something I'm going to have every single day, just because it is soy protein concentrate, which again is not isolate, but it's also non-GMO and not USDA organic. So I wouldn't take it off the list completely, but it's not something that I would, rely on heavily to have like every single day. But yeah, maybe like once or twice a week, I would incorporate this just to get the protein in. Because again, if you have the whole package, oh man, I can't do math. 14 plus 14 is 28. I need my son. Santiago, how much is 14 times 3? 42. Santiago says it has 42 grams of protein because he's good at math and my brain is 42 years old. So it has 42 grams of protein, which if you eat the entire package, which I'm telling you is hard to do because I've tried, it is really satiating. But you'll get 42 grams of protein, which is awesome. I usually recommend if you're going to have 3 meals a day, try to get 40 grams of protein in a day. It's part of the Fit 40 formula, if you've been paying attention. But that's my review of dairy. And again, it's great for when you're trying to get in some protein. It's in the frozen food section. So again, it has to be in the freezer, which means that, it's going to last a bit longer, but you also are going to have to prepare it So it's not something that's going to go bad in the fridge right away. So yeah, that's it. Dairying plant chicken is a pretty good substitute. Again, I would stick with the original. Don't have it every single day, but definitely incorporate it in some days when you need a little boost of protein. That's it for Food Label Fridays. Don't forget to comment if you found this useful. If there's a food that you want me to review on Food Label Fridays, drop it in the comments and I'll add it to my list. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And oh, don't forget, if you like Food Label Fridays, share with a friend and like it, subscribe it, all that great stuff. It helps us out. Have a wonderful day.